Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Deborah Jenkins from Black Talk Platform, and tonight we are talking about taking back and protecting our community. And I have a very special guest here, a young man who's doing it in our area, and his name is Kevin C. Riley. He is one of our local district leaders, and he can tell a little bit more about what that is as we formally introduce him in a minute. But we're talking tonight about not only the existential threat in Black and Latino communities, but also the internal threat. I feel it's a misnomer to call it Black on Black or Brown on Brown crime. I think it's much deeper than that. And for those who rush to judgment and call the perpetrators against our brothers and sisters animals and horrible adjectives like that, they've missed the point. They've missed an opportunity to use their platforms to uplift those who remain in the community and who may be on the cusp of doing something that is against the community and have an opportunity to change their minds. And so we're going to get a little bit into that later. But I really, while we have Mr. Riley here tonight, we want to talk about a great initiative and a great action event that he has coming up this Saturday. And we're going to do that. So I'm going to invite him on to just go on and speak. Mr. Riley, I thank you so much for on short notice, everyone. You know I've been away, but he on short notice accepted my invitation to come on and talk about this dynamic event that he's a co-sponsor of this coming Saturday. He will give all the information. He'll tell you how you can participate. But let's first ask him a little bit about himself. I've given a brief intro, but I'd like for him to speak about himself in the way he wants you all to know him. Mr. Riley, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Ms. Jenkins. How you doing today? And I would like to thank you for allowing me to come on your platform to speak about what I got going on in the community and what I've been doing in the community for a few years. Like she said, I'm Kevin Christopher Riley. I was born and raised in the northeast section of the Bronx. I'm originally from the Valley. My parents are originally from Jamaica. We've been here for my entire life. I went to Mount St. Michael Academy. Then I graduated and then went to college at SUNY College of Westbury to study politics, economics, and law. And at that time, I wanted to become a lawyer, but there wasn't any outlet for me at that time. I joined a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and they introduced me to Assemblyman Carl Hasty. That was back in 2008, and I grew a love for working in my community that I've been living in for so long. I've been working with the speaker since 2008, started as his community liaison, constituent liaison, and now I'm his community relations director, where I pretty much advocate for him in the community, host events for him in the community, represent him at events in the community. And I'm also the district lead in the 83rd Assembly, where I'm pretty much the liaison between the community and the elected officials. And I also place individuals to work at the poll sites. I thought this was a great platform. It was good, but I wanted to do some initiatives of my own outside of the speaker's office. To kind of compel some things that I've been seeing in my generation, being that I'm 32, I'm a millennial. I'm also a mentor for President Obama's MBK program, where I have tons of mentees who are very younger than me, and we discuss a lot of the oppositions that they have to go through today that you and I never went through a day in our life, where we have a platform called social media that they're going through right now. And this platform is allowing them to voice their opinion, voice their frustration. And if it's taken in a negative aspect, they respond in a negative aspect to each other. And that's what we're seeing. I've been seeing it for a few years. When I was growing up, we had Skonex, but now they have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you're seeing a lot of individuals get into petty altercations, beefs with each other. Through these outlets. From back in the day when we had an issue with somebody, you wouldn't hear about it if it wasn't from word of mouth. Now you could literally go on the internet and pretty much start something with somebody, and it's turned into a bigger issue where we're seeing tons and tons of shootings that are happening across the city. We're seeing tons of violence that's happening across the city. This is not anything new. This is just something that is magnified now because of the platforms that are out there.
Mhm.
Um, and we need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck, and we need all the resources. As I'm wearing this hat, I also have an organization focused on changing the narrative of Black fatherhood, which is another part of what's going on because the family structure in the household we want to attack. A lot of our fathers aren't in the household because a lot of them, like my father, the last image I had of my father at 7 years old was him being incarcerated in front of me. So that
Mhm.
was the last image I had of a Black man that I look up to, my superhero, being when kryptonite was slapped on his wrist, and I haven't seen my father until 20 years after that. So you have a lot of young men now that are fighting through this. They have no guidance, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to implement these resources because we could wait on government, we could wait on resources, money that's supposed to be allocated to our community. But I like to be the change that I want to see, and that's why I wanted to start these platforms, like the Dad Gang, like Music Over Violence, which is Music Over Violence is the nonprofit platform that we just started. It started from an event we had with Speaker Hasty last year. A few years ago, we had the biggest gang bust in New York City, the Bronx 120. We had tons of people in our community, tons of kids in our community incarcerated. There were marshals knocking on their door at 4 in the morning. We had parents calling us the morning after, and plenty of them were. A lot of them weren't even in the gang. They were just associated or went to school with people that the law enforcement associated with a gang. And I had a friend that was locked up in that. I met a brother that's doing amazing work. That he's been released that was locked up in that, and he had nothing to do with it. According to him. So this is a effort that we're trying to utilize, which is music. Music is a platform that we all can relate to. Everyone can utilize music, and music gives us a feeling. It makes us happy. So what we want to do is we want to utilize the music, and these kids are listening to the music. I listen to the music that the kids are listening to. You understand? So I hear what's going on. I hear what's being highlighted and praised in the music, but it's not reality. It's not life. And what we want to kind of show these kids is we're utilizing the music to voice your frustration, spoken word. You could voice your frustration and how you feel through music, spoken word, poem, dancing, instead of picking up a gun or even fighting. But even if fighting, back in the day, they used to fight, and when you fought, you had to fight with somebody, and it was over, and everything ended. Even though we don't want you to get to know violence, but now we're picking up guns, and when you pick up a gun, you're literally shooting your life away. Your life is going away because once you take someone else's life, we lost a 1-year-old baby a couple of days ago. A 1-year-old
Yeah.
baby. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I will be beside myself if I was at a function and my daughter was taken away from me. I would be beside myself. There is nothing gangster about that. There is nothing lit about that. There's nothing. There's nothing about that you took a 1-year-old life. I in the mass of this week, I've seen 1-year-old to 20-year-olds dead, either shot, harmed. And these are when I was 20 years old, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life. So we're taking away our children are losing their lives when they even grasp their lives yet. I'm 32 and I can finally feel like I have a grasp over my life. I know what I want to do. I know where my life is heading. We have kids that don't know where their life is heading, and they're making decisions because of the platforms that they have and the aggression that they have. And it's not their fault. It's not 100% their fault because we need to provide resources. We need to provide these resources in our community. There needs to be more um, community center programs. There needs to be more things that keep our kids engaged. Our kids love to make money. Let's start teaching them how to make money in schools. Let's teach them about financial literacy. Let's teach them about stocks and bonds. Let's put trade back in school. Let's teach them about becoming entrepreneurs. Our kids are entrepreneurs. I went to the event this weekend with young black queens from 21 to 24 years old, and they all had businesses. There was 10 of them in there, and they're all from the Bronx and Mount Vernon. So this is not something that's not obtainable. We just have to provide these resources, but we need all hands on deck. We need the individuals who went to prison to come out and tell them, like, listen, this is not the life for you. You don't want to be locked down when your family and you can't contact your family. We lost a rapper in the beginning of the year, Pop Smoke, who was up and coming. His murderers are gonna get life in jail, and they're like 20 years old. 20 years old. Like our kids are using this platform on social Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and they're really arguing with each other over blocks and areas that none of us own. Number one, none of us
Right.
own these areas, and we're fighting over these blocks that none of us own. Let's start
Right.
putting our energy and our resources to do things to kind of better our nation. I mean, better our community. Because
Right.
killing each other and fighting each other is not going to help it. So this is why I started Music Over Violence. Last year, it started with a program, and the Bronx 120. We had some individuals there that were incarcerated with the Bronx 120. They came on, they performed, and the seniors loved it. They were engaging, they were dancing, and we was like, "This is dope. This is dope." And then the social injustice that we're fighting through during this COVID-19 pandemic with George Floyd, we hosted a Juneteenth annual rally, which we're going to do every year. And it was beautiful. We had organizations come out, but after this is the beautiful part. After it, we had to speak in, and elected officials come out and speak and pray and kneel. That's been done plenty of times, and we've seen that. But what hasn't been done is we took a DJ and we put him behind a truck, and we played music from 229th Street to Gunny and White Plains Road. And what happened was you saw everybody in every generation, all ages, dancing together, wobbling together, stepping in there, everything together. It was dancing together, and we was playing music. Police officers were dancing. The borough president came and he was dancing with people. It was love, it was fellowship, and that's the energy we need in our community. So what we're doing this weekend is we're going to be kicking off our Occupy the Block nonviolence summit, where we're going to be registering more people to vote, because we need to know that we have a voice in our community. We need to start putting people in office that will voice our concerns in our community and will listen to everybody and kind of preach what we're trying, the message that we're trying to get together. And we also want to do the Census 2020. So the Census 2020 is we have poor results when it comes to doing the census, especially in the Bronx and especially in this district. And if we don't do the census, we're going to lose congressional seats. We're going to lose funding for schools. We're going to lose funding for housing. And that's why we're trying to do these events where we could kind of get more people, especially people in my demographic, to participate in the Census 2020, participate with voter registration, be more cognizant of what's going on in their community. We're building the YMCA in the community that's going to be on 229th Street in Shefflin. We're going to be using that as the hub of the community, because we all, Edenwald, Co-op City, the Valley, White Plains Road, we're trying to put Eastchester, we're trying to Wakefield. We want everyone to come into one location where we could kind of fellowship and have a control in our community, where we could have programs, give our resources, and apply some pressure within our youth so they could stop this foolishness that's going on in our community. So we're kicking this off this Saturday at Bridgefield Civic League, 3551 Laconia Avenue. It's going to be from 3 to 6. We're going to have light refreshments, and we're going to be playing some music out there. We're going to have some people speaking about the violence that's going on in our community. And then we're going to be doing this throughout the summertime. And we're trying to do this as small businesses, because we want to support our small businesses too, especially during the COVID pandemic. A lot of them took a hit, and a lot of them have been supporting us with getting essential workers food, with getting our community members food. So we want to show them support also. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling up in front of these small businesses with music, and we're going to kind of register people that normally will come into there, register them to vote, registering them to do the census, and we're going to be doing this throughout throughout the summertime.
That's awesome. Let me get you to give me the address again so that I can put it in the comments section here.
Yes, it's going to be 3551 Laconia Avenue.
And that's where, between what and what?
That is on 212th Street and Laconia.
Near 212th Street. Okay.
Yeah. 212th is right on the corner of 212th and Laconia.
Okay. And the name again is Music what?
Music Over Violence.
Excellent. Yes. You said a lot, but I believe that what you said has resonated not only with me, but also with the audience who has joined us, because you really went deep. You're saying things that are not being said when people get behind microphones for the media and say, call them animals and everything. And I take exceptional offense to that, because if you're calling someone who, like you said, a friend of yours or someone you knew was caught up in that 120 big sting, was that about 2 years ago, a year or so ago?
That was about 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, I believe.
And it was major because it
Yeah.
made the news and everything. But he just got caught up, and so sometimes you just simply get caught up. That doesn't make you an animal, and I don't think that we should speak in terms of animals when.
And I just want to let this known. I'm a person that a lot of people look at, and I want to be as transparent as possible.
Okay.
I'm a person that everybody looks at as, oh, this person is Kevin's doing a lot of good things. When I was in high school, I remember, because our different neighborhoods had issues with each other, and I remember going to school and I would get into altercations with individuals. I got jumped a few times, and I felt like I wanted to join a gang for protection.
For
It's
protection.
that we really have to understand what's going on, and that's why I say all hands on deck. Because when I was growing up, there wasn't an older individual that I could go to, like, listen, man, I don't want to fight with these kids every day, but I know I have to walk down this block to go home. And I know if I don't
Right.
walk down this block to go home, I can't get home. But I know when I walk down this block, I'm going to have to fight. Can you help me? There's no outlet like that. We need
No.
a community. We need community outlets where our kids are being forced. There are kids that are being forced. And I'm speaking from experience. I was even forced to do things when I was in high school, fight people when I was in high school that I didn't want to. And that's because, and that was when social media wasn't out. So you can imagine now where they're being placed on social media and their egos being poked at. That's
Right.
saying, you're not going to do anything about that, this and that. And they're like, yo, what do you mean I'm not going to do anything about that? And they're going out making rash decisions that are changing their lives. So I won't come up here and call any of them animals, because we have to make sure that we're doing our job to make them know this is not the right way. A lot of them don't know it's the right way. When we were all 15, did everyone have everything straight?
Of course
You
not.
didn't have everything straight.
Of course not.
We didn't have everything worked out. We have to make sure that every time I got into, and you know what made me the man I am today? Every single time that I was getting jumped or in an altercation, there was always an older brother that stepped in and stopped it.
Mhm.
Always. And I always said, if I can never walk these streets, my community, and see an altercation. I remember I was at a function with my boss, Assemblyman Hasty, and there was an altercation in the park, and I stopped it. I jumped right in the middle and stopped it because I remember there was an older man that always took care of me when I was younger and stopped the altercation, because maybe one of his kids don't want to do anything, but his ego's getting poked, and he has to prove himself out there, and we have to kind of show them this is not the way. You don't have to prove yourself to nobody, because the people that I was proving myself to 15 years ago, I don't even know where they're at now.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're at now. You have to prove something to yourself. You have to prove something to your family, and that's what we got to teach right now. We need more mentorship programs. We need more people to be transparent with our youth. Stop telling our youth to go to school. Tell them why if you don't go to school. If you don't go to school, you're going to end up like this when you're at 30. There's a good possibility this might happen to you at 30. This might happen to you if you take drugs. This might happen to you if you want to drink every single day. You might get diabetes. We already have bad health in our communities. Like this, be transparent. And that's the difference between mentoring youth and dictating to youth. Don't dictate to them. We have to mentor them, and we have to show them the right way instead of just dictating to them and making them just be like, all right, this is just Kevin, just tell me what to do. All right, I know an old head. No, open up. I tell them the story I just told right now. You know, with every respect, like I'll say, like, yeah, I got jumped back in high school, and I felt like I wanted to join the gang. But me telling that to a young brother, he's like, wow, you went through that, and you're this way today. There is hope for me. I don't need to be this way. And that's why we need to be more transparent with our youth.
I so totally agree with you. Oh my goodness. I feel like that's another area of division that doesn't have to exist. Those of us like you're a young guy and I'm an older woman.
You're not that old. You don't look too older than me.
Oh man, my son's birthday is today, and he is 21. Woo, woo. So
Happy birthday, Ken. Happy birthday.
You are a politician talking about I look too much older than you. But let's not digress. You said some great things here, and um, I have a friend, and I want to shout her out. She is excellent. Her name is Kenya Brown. She knows the grandmother of little Duval Griffin Jr., who was murdered. You spoke about him, the 1-year-old, and you found that relationship because you have a 1-year-old and you cannot imagine it. I believe that there's an action event out there now in Brooklyn, and I'll tell you, a march, yeah, and it's packed, I understand. And she just felt led to start a GoFundMe for the family, and she set it at $10,000. When she and I talked earlier, it was already over $12,000, and that's in a day and a half. That's in a day and a half, and so sometimes we all have to understand what our role is and play those effectively. But never should it be to criticize those who we've not even decided to talk to help, like you just said. You know, we sit around just like they are exposed to social media. So are we. We have all of the same social media that they have. But what I see so often and too often is this harsh criticism of these young people that we've walked past when we had an opportunity to say something and didn't try. I'll never forget a few years ago, my son was still in high school, I believe. We were coming in, and these young boys, they were like across the street from my house, or they were crossing the street, and they had their pants down. And I said, hey, pull your britches up, you know, and I'm from the South, so that's why I use britches, but they knew what I meant. Pull your pants up. And my daughter was like, Mommy, please leave him alone, leave him alone. Because what has happened is we have allowed ourselves as adults to become afraid of these young people when actually all they want us to do is tell them to pull their pants up.
Yeah.
I said, because you know your mother and your father wouldn't appreciate
I had plenty of, I went through that transition before. I'm young. I went through that transition where I wanted to sag. I thought it was something cool. And I had plenty of people who knew my mother, and I transitioned out of that real fast, but told me to do it. And I thank each and every single one of them today. So you're absolutely right.
It makes a difference. I remember my business hero is Mr. Earl Graves Sr., who just recently passed. And I remember a mentoring program was taking some young people, or an after-school program or something, taking some young men to Black Enterprises. He was the founder of Black Enterprises, for those of you who don't know. And when they got there, he was not being elitist. He was not being a snob when they brought them in and their pants were sagging. And they also had on jeans. You're going to one of the premier Black businesses. And so the mentors should have known where they were taking the young people, that they might not be criticized. So we have to be cognizant of what we're asking of the young people, like you said. Let's not expect more of them than we give ourselves. And so there's a lot of work to do. And I think you are onto something by doing it through music over violence, and also embracing some of those who came back from the 120. I hope people didn't miss that. Did you all hear him say that in the event that they did before, like sometime last year with Assemblyman, our speaker, New York State Assembly Speaker, Carl Hastie, they did an event and some of those young men were invited back? That's powerful, because restorative justice is the way of the future. When you look at the number, when there are 2.8 million people incarcerated in the United States, there has to be a movement of restorative justice so that people can return to the community and the threat be removed. And so I think you're doing such great work. I'm really so appreciative of everything that you're doing. Let me see, did we get through all of the questions? Because he has another event. I could talk to him all night, but you told us about the event. The time, I did not put the time in there for people.
The time will be from 3 to 6.
3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes, and this will be the kickoff. This will be the kickoff event.
When you said a kickoff, are you going to be doing this often or every week? What are we doing?
I'm going to be doing it throughout the summertime. So every other week, we're going to be at a small business or a location in the district where we're just going to be playing music and registering people to vote, registering people from the census, and just having the presence out there that we're out here. Music Over Violence is an organization from the Northeast Bronx. All the people on the board live and represent the Northeast Bronx. We have DJ Maddow, who's a celebrity DJ from up here. He's the DJ for Hood Celebrity. So we utilize him to get our celebrities up here. So this is an organization from the Northeast Bronx. We're originated out here, but we want to expand across New York City to get our message out there.
Right. You should say voter registration as well?
Yes.
Or the census. Tell me a little bit about that. What is the deadline for voter registration?
So the deadline, I'm not sure. I could get you the day on the deadline now. Where it's the general election, so we have some time. I'll get you the deadline and I'll send it to your inbox, and you can let your platform know.
Awesome.
I'm also I did not mention this, but I wasn't here on Speaker Hasty's platform. I'm here on my own platform. I am also a candidate for City Council in District 12, where I'll be running for the vacant seat after Councilman King is termed out next year. So that's something I'm currently doing now. I feel like I was raised in this community, and I have some ideologies, and I want to utilize my platform to kind of bring my community's ideas to City Hall. That's kind of what I want to do with my campaign. I want to kind of voice my community's ideologies, because I sit down with a lot of people in my community, and they have awesome ideas, awesome legislation that could possibly be implemented in our city. So I just definitely want to utilize that platform to let everyone know I'm running for city council, and you could check out everything I'm doing on my Facebook page, Rally for the Bronx, on my Instagram page, Rally for the Bronx, Kevin C. Rallies, my Instagram handle too, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can check me out.
Riley for FOR or the number?
FOR.
Well, he just made some news on Black Talk platform. No, he's already announced, guys. He's sent out.
I announced it. I sent out a mail, so everyone knows about it.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you announced it here as well, because some people may not know, and we want to support all of those things that you share with us this evening. This is the kind of talk we need to hear. We need boots on the ground, and you said all hands on deck. That means that while everybody cannot be out in the streets, we can all help. We can support your initiatives. You mentioned and you used the acronym, but the acronym for My Brother's Keepers, which you are a mentor. You said, right? That is an initiative that started under President Obama. Tell us a little bit about that for those who don't know.
So President Obama started this initiative when he was exiting the White House. And Speaker Carl Hastie adopted the initiative into New York State's educational system. So DOE, we have mentees in last year. It was 2. It started last year. This year we expanded into 4. So what we do is we mentor them and help them when they're transitioning from high school to college. And we also help and guide them when they're doing a service project for their community. So I had 2 mentors this year. One went to Eagle Academy, who was a salutatorian, my brother Stephen Allen, and one from Co-op City who goes to Bronx High School, Russell. So Russell, he wanted to do something during the COVID pandemic where he wants to feed the essential workers at River Bay, because he sees them every day working hard, cleaning up Co-op City, especially since they've been low staffed due to the pandemic. So he wants to give back to them, and that's what we did with Russell. And before the pandemic, Stephen, he wanted to do something, and it's funny that he did this because this was a very important event where we had over 120 kids with police officers. So we did an event where we played basketball with police officers in the South Bronx. And we had kids come out. Basically, what we spoke about is the not snitching in our community. People talk about not snitching and having a relationship with police officers and things of that nature. And he wanted to host an event and kind of bridge the gap with showing like, listen, man, being cool with a police officer is okay. You know what I mean? We're not in the streets. We're on the sidewalk. There's streets and there's sidewalks, and a lot of us play the sidewalks. And he wanted to kind of show the kids that the streets is not for you. Be on the sidewalk with us and kind of have a good relationship with the police officers, so we could kind of have a good relationship in our community. And that's what we need. We need more community policing. We need more police officers that feel comfortable in our communities. I remember NYPL. I believe that was the New York Police League. It was
Mhm.
something big back in the day that we all used to want to play in the basketball tournament. I think that needs to be implemented in every police department. They need to have an NYPL in that police department where they have direct communication with the community. Community
Right.
affairs in our district. We had the 47 precinct. They do an amazing job. They're doing what they can. They're doing an amazing job in our district, but we can help them out and do some more. We could
Mhm.
definitely help them out and do some more. And community policing will help the relationship in the community when it comes to community and policing. Police need to engage with the community more. Go to the parks and play with the kids. Shoot some hoops. I have a
Right.
friend that shoots that goes. He's a police officer in South Bronx. He always plays with the kids over there, and that's
Mhm.
how you end that stereotype, that narrative that I can't be friends with a cop officer because either that officer will harm me or they'll incarcerate me or I'll be considered a snitch. So we're just trying to change this narrative. And that's
Mhm.
like the main thing. We're trying to change this narrative. We're trying to preach something positive to our kids because it starts with our youth. Our youth have to realize that we need to have this change because it's hard to change someone's mindset. Our age, we know that when someone's head mindset, mind is geared to do something, then that's it. But if we change our youth mind and our
Mhm.
youth, we have some power. Look at the movement we're in right now. It's being ran by the younger
Young people.
generation.
Yeah.
The
And
younger generation is getting answers right now. You
right.
understand? No matter how they're doing it, they're getting answers right now. And that's something we have to look at and kind of instill in them like, listen, we have faith in you. We have to be transparent with them, let them know that they'll make mistakes, but guide them through those mistakes and be there for them. Have more mentoring services for them. And when I say mentoring service, I'm saying being transparent, be open, fully open. I'm
Right.
thinking of myself starting my own personal mentoring service because I'll get calls all the time from individuals in the community that want me to, talk to their younger siblings or talk to their child and kind of have their child mirror me. And I have no issue with that because I love that because I feel like if I had that growing up, I would be even 100 times better than I am now. And I had called Carl Hasty, got me when I was about 20 years old. And ever since, no, probably 19 years old, Carl had me when I was a child. And ever
Mhm.
since Carl has me, that's kind of been my mentor. And he's kind of showed me the way of how to give back to your community, the importance of making sure that we're active and speaking back positivity. So I feel like I have to do that now.
I'm glad to hear that, and I'm happy that you're. Let me just go backwards a little bit. We're not only the 47th precinct; we are also the 45th
Wait, not,
precinct.
wait,
That's
50,
our
yeah.
precinct as well. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're also pretty good. What we have is community relations, and then we have the NCOs, and I think they have to figure out how to work that in a way that the community knows that they're both there. Both segments are there. There's a lot of work to do on both
Yeah.
sides, but I love what you're saying. These two young men did, especially in terms of this no snitch thing. When I think about Brandon Hendricks, and I keep speaking about him because our beloved Noel Ellison is
Mm-hmm.
his uncle, and he's been the patriarch of their family, sort of shepherding them through this very sad moment in their lives. And how quickly the cops apprehended a suspect. And even though, he's young, he's made this incredible era in his life, and his life will never be the same. He's also taken a life. But I'm really glad because I don't know the internal workings of that investigation, but it was so quick. I want to start seeing that all the time. Somebody gets harmed in our community. I want the cops to be able to apprehend someone, but that's going to take a level of cooperation sometimes from us in the community without us thinking snitches get stitches. That's crazy to me. That's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And I hope the same happens in Brooklyn. I don't know if they have a suspect, if they've apprehended anyone, but the heartstrings that are being pulled for this baby being lost, I just hope that the community, if it knows anything, will give some assistance to the officers because the bottom line is,
Y'all better say something.
yeah,
There's nothing gangster. There's nothing about street. There's
nothing,
nothing cool with taking a 1 year old's life. If
nothing at all.
somebody knows something, y'all better say something.
And here's the thing, it's really a bifurcated type system. The cops really need to do their jobs, and they
Yes.
need to do it effectively. But if there is anyone who knows anything without the fear for their own lives, if it's not like that, we've just got to start helping. We got to start helping. But this is bigger, and this is for another conversation, perhaps. We don't trust, we, the community, don't trust the cops to work on our behalf.
Yeah.
I think that even surpasses stitches get snitches. We don't trust them to do what they're supposed to do. And so they don't feel comfortable doing what they're supposed to do, though we're paying them. There needs to be a meeting of the two. We need to sit around at the table. We need both sides of the table so that we can get this crime handled and taken care of once and for all, because it is time for us to take back our streets. And if that means that we also have to protect our own streets, then that's what we have to do. We have to be out there when most of this crime happens. And that is why I'm starting my family organization, the Presley Family Institute, is starting to uncode rapid response team, where we're going to take 18 to 24-year-old males, Black and Latino, and put them together with older, more seasoned Black and Latino men to mentor them, but also to shepherd them in this street walk. And this is not for women. That's why I specified Black men, because we don't need to be on the front lines. Men need to be on the front lines, protecting the community. What we need to do is provide whatever kind of support we can, but we don't need to be out there on the streets. Now, what does that mean? And everybody knows me. I will be out there just to get the process started, but I'm not out there to do what I'm training them to do. I'm training them to be known in the community, so that when they pop up, the bad actors in our communities will either just decide they're not going to do what they're going to do, or they will move away and find another place to be. Because when they see the Uncode team coming, that they know that they mean business. They're not going to be strapped. They're going to just be there with authority to protect our community. And we're going to start up here in Co-op City within the five sections, and we will move out as we hear about any violence or crime, whether that's external or internal, so that we can take back our communities, so that we can feel comfortable coming in whatever time life makes us have to come in, and not have the fear of being mugged or killed even. So we're going to start that, and we want to spread it throughout our 12th district, definitely. And just go from there. And I certainly hope to be able to find synergy with you. Thank you. Y'all heard him. If y'all y'all heard him, and he said sign him up. Who will follow Mr. Riley? Who will follow Mr.
Riley? One thing I'm gonna leave here is I'm someone that likes to be held accountable.
Okay.
I'm someone that likes to be held accountable. So if I know if you know Miss Gretchen Hazel from Co-op City, she can let you know that once I say I'm going to do something, or once someone asks me to do something, I'll definitely follow through. And if I'm not, please poke my button, because a lot of times I do a lot and I may forget certain things. But please poke my button. I definitely want to be a part of that, because we need all hands on deck in order to solve this issue.
Awesome. Thank you. Listen, Mr. Riley has stayed with me a little longer than he had anticipated. He has another event to go to.
Yes.
He's involved in a lot of stuff. He sounds like a younger me. I was doing everything. So listen, make sure you get your rest, because the 1-year-old needs you desperately. She needs you to be there.
And my 5-year-old. I got a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I don't know how you do it. I used to take them everywhere. They've been everywhere I've ever gone. Everybody knows my two when they be coming, because I had to balance it. And the only way I could do what I was supposed to do, they had to come with me sometimes. So listen, we thank you so much. We welcome you back. We're happy to talk to you anytime and to support you as you continue in your movement.
I would love to come back. Yeah, I would love to come back and speak up more about my Black Father program.
Yes.
Definitely. So whenever you want me back, please just let me know. And thank you for having me. Thank
you very much. Be safe. God bless you, and best wishes to your campaign.
Okay, take care.
Take care now. I need to charge her. Wow, that was so rich. That was so rich, and I'm so glad that he gave me extra time tonight. Now I want to spend the balance of my time, about 11 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so, just talking a little more about the Uncode rapid response team. Let me tell you where that came from. It came out of a response to, in early June, in a response to, oh gosh, is it plugged in? Hello, are you still with me? Did you leave because I left? Listen, I am a novice at this, but trying to get better as I go. I apologize for that. Um, Technical difficulties. And if you've been watching my program, my show for the last few weeks, you will see that we have some technical difficulties over here sometimes, but I do want to pick back up. I have about 19 minutes actually. I wanted to talk about the Uncode Rapid Response Team that I am assembling through the Presley Family Institute. It comes as a result of an action we took early in June. And once we heard, we were on a, what do you call it? A curfew here in New York City due to COVID and the requirements or the restrictions around it not being followed. So our mayor put us on a curfew of 8 p.m. We found out that young people were planning to come to Co-op City. We have the newest and largest mall to have been built in New York City in decades, and it's called Bay Plaza Mall. The young people had every intention of looting and rioting at our mall up here. And this information went viral in social media. Everyone knew, the cops knew, and the cops have been out there and were prepared to do what cops are supposed to do when there are instances of broken laws. And so, what I did is I reached out and I asked the captain of the 45th precinct, could I come with other clergy and community leaders to try to discourage these young people from doing something to change their lives forever? He agreed. He allowed us to. We gathered and we met over at McDonald's on Bartow, and we saw about 150 young people that evening. We were able to talk to about 50. We were able to get at least four to change their minds, even though they didn't acquiesce easily. But I thank God for my son, who is a young person. He was able to speak their language and to influence them to not go forward with what their plans were. There were about 10 of us there. We had a pastor who came all the way from Manhattan. We had a one of her associates who I know very well, who came from New Jersey, and not New Jersey, Connecticut, and the balance were from our area here. We stood there for hours, about 3 hours, to try to do this. And the cops did what they did. The cops arrested those who were intent on causing harm to the community. But what was impactful to me and what made me decide that I would recruit rather, Black and Latino males ages 18 to 24 is because my son is right in the middle of that age group, and they listened to him. While we were all there, we do look like overlords because we're older. And I think when you are trying to disrupt violence or interrupt violence, you need someone who speaks the language of those who are more prone to commit violence. And that is why we are seeking 18 to 24-year-old Black and Latino males who are deeply concerned about their community, who have grown up in their communities and have seen their parents toil and work to keep them safe. Um, to say this is our community, and we're not going to let it go to those who don't care about our community, who are just sleeping here or perhaps don't even sleep here, but coming here and wreaking havoc, making us all look bad, making us all feel bad because there are so many who look like us, who get on TV or who get on social media and call us animals, lumping us all together. We are looking for those young people who are the next leaders. I'm in my my mid 50s, yeah. And it's time to pass the mantle. How do you pass the mantle? You have to train up those who will come behind you without fear. I'm not losing anything by preparing young people. So we have a training that is developed for violence interrupters in our community. The reason why I chose the term uncode, because we had a mixture in that group of 10 of people who were concerned about protecting the property. And then the balance of us were chiefly concerned with ensuring that these young people would not end up in jail and ruining their lives. That's the code. The code is to keep and help prevent our young people from ruining their lives by committing violence. That's simple. That's real simple. In addition, River Bay was protecting the property in River Bay, and the police were protecting the property in Bay Plaza, which are their respective jobs. So when the community comes together and the community goes out on the street, the community should be concerned with protecting the lives of those who may commit violent acts or crime. Because with 2.8 million people incarcerated in this country, I'm going to repeat it, with 2.8 million people incarcerated in you and I should be tired of losing whole generations of young men and women because we are passing judgment on them rather than doing things that are more tangible to help prevent them, to give them a pause to think about what it is that they are planning to do. And so we are having our first training on July 31st. It will be a 3-hour training for these young men who say, yes, I care enough about my community to want to be a part of keeping it safe and protecting it. Yes, the community has a role in protecting its own community and those who are in their community. You see someone fall, you should help them get up. If you see someone being harmed, you should get them out of that situation without causing harm to yourself or further harm to them. There are things that we should do because we are in community. And I heard a minister say last week, well, at the Brandon Hendricks presser, actually candlelight vigil, was Elder Christian Foy. He called those people who commit violence in our community not animals. He said that they're cowards because cowards don't care about anyone but themselves. And they're only concerned with their own selfish exploits. And I think we need to start categorizing them for who they are and what they are. And for those who are biblical people like myself, the Bible gives us permission to exclude such people from our community. And you know what? That doesn't have to mean incarceration. That just has to mean that we're not going to put up with the kind of shenanigans you are creating and want to create in our community with the violence and the life taking. We're not doing that. So if you are someone who fits that description, 18 to 24, as the frontline violence interrupters, and then Black and Latino males who will be the seasoned violence interrupters to mentor these young men, I am so happy to have you join us. We will be posting on this video an application with my email address in there where you can respond to it. And we're also going to be raising funds. And let me tell you why. As a minister, I am so used to giving my time freely. Many of us are, many community leaders are. We're used to that. But just like Mr. Riley said, these young people need jobs, they need resources, and they need money in their pockets. When you're walking around and you have no money in your pocket, you already feel bad. Look, we feel bad as older people who do work when we have no money in our pockets. I taught my children to always have at least $1 on you so you could feel, some kind of way, feel good about yourself. But everyone deserves that. And then we're asking them to be from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. at the height of the time when most violence occurs in our communities, even though they're becoming a little more brazen and doing things in broad daylight. We will dispatch them for that also. They will be dispatched weekly, once a week, into the community so that the community will become familiar with them. Like I said before, when they see this group coming, they're not going to be threatened by them, but they will know that they are there because they're on code. And their code is to protect and keep safe, and to take back our community from the cowards who want to take it and make it devalue it, and even our external threats who have found themselves as law enforcement where that happens. We've been fortunate in my community, but not in other communities, as we all know. And so we have to respond to both threats, the external and the internal, in order to keep our community safe, in order for Mr. Riley's 5-year-old and 1-year-old to grow up, and anyone else who has young children, and I have a 16-year-old and I have a 21-year-old. I want to see them continue to breathe without the threat of violence coming from within or without. So we will be asking for your support. And it's going to be minor support, but we will accept any support. We're going to want to give them transportation. That means transportation by Metro card. They will have to be dispatched to wherever they have to go. They will need to get on the trains and the buses to get there. We will need to get them their uniforms so that when people see them with their branded shirts coming in their pants, they will know who they are. That costs money, and we are not going to pass that cost on to these volunteers, because even though I want to provide them with a stipend, they are still volunteering their time. We will be giving them a monthly stipend. It's not a stipend. If anyone knows what that is, it is not pay. It is just our appreciation. But we will be giving them a monthly stipend. We are looking for 5 to 10 initially, and we're going to have a 1-to-1 match. If they're 5 to 10, 18 to 24-year-olds, we will have 5 to 10 older, more seasoned violence interrupters. Listen, I'm stepping out on faith, believing that this is a time for our community to come together, and we can't just keep criticizing. We have to be a part of the solution. And I'm asking you all to be a part of the solution with me. Yeah. So that is the plan. I'm going to check Facebook really quickly to see if there are any comments or questions about this that anyone wants to share here or have me share. I can't find you on my live. Are there any questions before I sign off? I do have one comment. Thank you, Denise, for sticking around. Thank you so much. And for all of you who stuck around for this, I believe that the time is now for us to do it. I will set up the donation. I will be talking about this for forever, because we will start them on the 31st, whether we have raised any funds or not. And you will begin to see us in the Co-op City area. Shortly after their initial training, they will have ongoing training. Their training will be for at least 1 month, so that they can become comfortable being on the street in that capacity, and that others will begin to recognize them in the community. And while they will not be assembled in time for Mr. Riley's event this Saturday, when they have future ones, and I am aware of it, we will send them there also, so that they will become known in the community. We are also available to train others in other communities throughout the United States virtually. And if the matter requires, we are willing to come to where you are, because it is time for us to take back our communities wherever we may be. The training is led by me and my son, and other leaders as we will bring them in. But this particular training will be led by me and my son. And we are looking forward to having a wait list for our Uncode Rapid Response Team. Look, God bless you all. We'll be back next week, and we'll be back for the rest of the summer. I took my little hiatus, but I really want to listen. The violence is going to continue to happen, as we've seen, external and internal. And it's a shame. I am deeply concerned about the lack of protection for Black women. Malcolm X has been deceased for many, many years now, but his affirmative proclamation that Black women are the most unprotected in this country still rings true. And my sister friend Denise Best has been having some town halls to address it. And I want to have some myself, because our unique situation has us trying to do both and, but it's time that we have the proper protection so that we can continue to be the mothers, daughters, nieces, aunts for you, our men, and also do all the other things that we believe God has called us to do without having to worry about harm coming to us because there's no one there to care enough to protect us. I can't get over the image of a young woman coming up out of the train just the other day. She was coming up out of the subway, minding her own business, when a young man sucker punched her to the ground. Let that sink in. So there are a lot of things. And I am still a businesswoman. You hear me with my social justice stuff, but I am still out there doing business plans, writing grants and proposals to expand other people's businesses. I got a big boost today when one of my pro bono clients, because I do that every quarter, I do pro bono work. Um, I had spoken to him back in April and told him to get training so that he could do um, cleaning. He's a clean has a cleaning service, and I've given him advice so that he could be prepared for the kind of level of cleaning that is going to have to take place during after COVID and while we try to get back to work. And so he let me know today that that was the best advice he had gotten for his business. And he was able to get the certifications so that he can increase his revenue bottom line. And so I'm so happy for him and look forward to better things coming from him. So we will be highlighting some businesses some Black businesses. This is Black Talk platform, and these are the only businesses that I will be promoting. When I say Black, I do include those of the diaspora, Latinos, and Native Americans. I do. So I will be putting the call out, and we are happy to have you on our platform to share with us your business so that you can increase your revenue. It's been really hard for minority businesses, especially while we're seeing large companies and brands close down forever. It's much worse for Black businesses. And so whatever we can do here at Black Talk platform to help you generate some revenue and to keep your brand going, we are happy to do. So listen, I'm going to sign off, spend a little time with my young king, whose birthday is today, before he decides whatever he's going to do. And I bless you all for being here with me. And I will see you next week. On Friday, I will let you know what we'll be talking about on Monday. God bless you all. Peace.